You're listening to the Geekscape Network.
Time to fire up the VCR. This one's my favorite. That was gold.
Welcome to Analog Jones in the Temple of Film. I'm Steve.
And I'm Matt.
And this is a VHS podcast that looks at the trailers, box arts, and behind the scenes. And this week, Matt rented Wild Wild West.
Wicky wow wow.
Before there was a Secret Service, before there was a CIA, before there was an FBI, there was
West. Jim West.
But behind every great man is a beautiful woman.
Stay out of my way, lady!
I'm not a lady, I'm a U.S. Marshal!
Now what?
Will Smith.
You're not the master of disguise that you think you are. You look nasty, just butt ugly.
Kevin Kline.
The collars around our neck seem to contain powerful magnets!
When you tell this story to your grandkids, you make sure you leave this part out.
Kenneth Branagh. And Salma Hayek. From the director of Men in Black.
Nice hat.
When I roll into the...
Whoa! That was fun.
When I bounce into the...
We are kicking off our theme song September with one of the greatest movie theme songs recorded for a film.
Oh,
Wow,
Wicky,
Wow,
Wicky,
West.
wow. Wicky, Wicky, wow. Wicky, Wicky, wow, wow, West. Jim West. Desperado. Rough Rider. No, you don't want nada. None of this. Six gun in this. Brother running this. Buffalo soldier. Look, it's like I told you. Any damsel that's in distress be out of that just when she meets Jim West.
Beautiful. Nailed it.
So, this song does have a little bit of a history. I used to sing this song to annoy my younger brothers.
This was one of those songs that I remember trying to catch on the radio to record on a cassette. This was still when this is right before you could burn CDs. This was still a couple years before you could burn CDs. So I remember trying to catch this on the radio and record it on a cassette. And I never could catch it without the fucking DJ talking over it.
When you missed it, did you have to swallow your pride? I just want to know, did you let your lip react? Because you don't want to see Jim West's hand where his hip be at. I fucking love this song.
It's so good.
It's just like the perfect, corny, like positive hip hop that was dying at this point.
Yes, but it's still such a window into the 90s. So kids listen to this song. This is just what was popular at the time.
And then you had Will Mania, and I don't know if that album dropped before or after this movie. I don't really know because, kids, let me tell you, from 1992 to 1999, maybe 2000, 2001.
Well, 2000 because that was the millennium. Millennium.
Oh yeah, you got to party like it's 1999. Oh, hold up,
Millennium.
It is. So, to that period, Will Smith fever it was just like a destruction movie, like a natural disaster destruction movie. You just fucking had to watch it.
Will Smith, I can't, it's hard to articulate this to people who didn't grow up with it, which I'm assuming most of our listeners did, but if somebody who's 18 is listening to this, Will Smith was literally everywhere at this time. Music, you couldn't turn on, MTV still showed music videos at this time. You couldn't turn on MTV without seeing a Will Smith music video. You couldn't go to every summer was dominated by a Will Smith movie. Every summer from 96 through 99, we had a Will Smith release.
We talked about it on Independence Day, and fuck it, I'm gonna do it again. We had Independence Day, we had Men in Black, we had Wild Wild West, we had Enemy of the State, and then we have Men in Black 2, and I think after Men in Black 2, it was just okay, well, Mania needs to slow up a bit.
Yeah.
But that's when he became like a fucking actor, and then we hit Ali.
Yeah, but now we're kind of in the lazy Oscar bait Will Smith right now with, he's done Pursuit of Happiness, 7 Pounds, Concussion. I'm looking for more fun Willie. I'm looking for some Big Willie style here.
Well, I think he's going to do that when his kids have kids.
Probably.
I have that feeling. I just think right now, because of how his career started, and he was like, kind of like The Rock right now, where he was surgically picking his roles of like how to make the most money. Now, Will Smith will do a negative role where his character does some nasty shit or gets into a nasty situation and maybe the story doesn't end on a positive note, while The Rock will not ever do that. So maybe that's a bad comparison. But the popularity, the charisma is that is Will Smith and Rock.
Yeah, no, like that is the quality of a gigantic movie star. And this Wild Wild West is the height, I think. This is some people call the breaking point.
This is the nauseum.
This is like this movie happened and got made because of the fucking rock star quality of Will Smith.
Well, this is where you could like cover him in shit and he'd still sell. And that's in a way what we got
here. But yeah, basically, and like if you were to just say 1999 pop culture, Will Smith is at the top of the fucking list.
Yeah, I mean that's why Warner Brothers, made this film. Warner Brothers at the time was going through a low point. They were having some bombs after some really positive mid-90s, Interview with the Vampire, even both of the Batman movies, even though the last one is a joke of Batman and Robin, it made money.
Right, and that is a year before this film.
Yeah. But that year, the years of 97, 98 had some fucking bombs for them. Like just not only financial bombs, but where it made the actual entire distribution production companies that they worked with. I didn't understand Warner Brothers so much, but basically Warner Brothers works with like 9 or 10 different production companies constantly at this time period. I don't know how they are now, but that's what I was reading. And they use a lot of the same producers with these production companies. So it was a lot of the same people coming up with a lot of these hits. Well, I think people got a little fat, a little laid back, and then we got this. We got Clint Eastwood's True Crime, which not only was something that I've never seen, but apparently no one else did because
it's basically gone forgotten.
Yeah, it lost like $30 million.
Yeah.
And then we had the King and I animation, that lost like 10. Jack Frost with Michael Keaton is kind of the like embarrassing one where they took Michael Keaton. I don't know if he was forced to do that film or if it was more like, hey, I'm not getting into any other roles, so I've got to. That one lost a lot. And then we get into the really bad one. Soldier with Kurt Russell and Paul W.S. Anderson lost $50 million, I think, 50, 60. Then we had Practical Magic lost money. That's one I'd love for us to do, Practical Magic. The Avengers with Sean Connery. That one lost a good amount. The Negotiator, Tarzan and the Lost City. Tarzan and the Lost City, this blew my mind. They spent like $25 million on that film, and it only made like $2 million in the theater.
They didn't advertise that one at all.
No, that one, they're like, we can't release in the United States. I think it went direct to video, which, by the way, I own.
Nice. We'll have to do that sometime.
Sphere, Fallen, and the pinnacle of the bombs in the late 90s, The Postman. $80 million budget, only made 17.6 worldwide.
Wow.
That was one where they released to like 2,000, 2,500 theaters. That was huge.
Yeah, that was a huge movie. Much like Wild Wild West.
Worldwide made its money back. $170 million budget.
Every fucking dollar is on screen here.
Yeah, there was a lot of reshoots for this movie.
You could tell.
Yes. And they spent a lot of money on the sets, and they are beautiful sets.
Yes, they're quite wonderful.
When it comes to the production designers and the artistic development of this movie, they did not disappoint. It's a beautiful, laid out film.
Yes. Before we get too into it, let's talk about this box art and let's break some of this stuff down, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of this fucking film. Our cover here has Will Smith, Salma Hayek, and Kevin Kline in their basically like their key outfits for the movie. They're like steampunky cowboy outfits, looking right at us with the giant mechanical spider blowing something up directly in the center bottom. And it's Wild Wild West title across the top. Will Smith, Kevin Kline, Kenneth Branagh, Salma Hayek. Names around the title. Fucking all superstars at this time.
But when it comes to the box art on this VHS, this is the weaker one because I'm going to show Matt the poster. The poster is awesome.
I love the 3W sort of iconography they had with the movie, where it was like the steel W's with each one sort of inlaid on each other. I love that design. It's very Men in Black. Like it's very Barry Sonnenfeld, but like I love that design. It's so 90s cool.
Well, it sold the steampunk feel of the film, so I don't understand why they came out with the VHSs with this cover, because this cover, other than the giant spider at the bottom breathing fire, sucks.
Yeah, but they're selling the stars, and I think that's what they're looking to do here. They're just like Will Smith, Kevin Kline, Salma Hayek, Western, with some weird shit in it.
You know what? I guess at that point, but they're selling the stars on the other one too. I
don't know why they changed it. I don't know what the choice was to change it. Although I will say... Yeah, probably. I do love the yellow that surrounds like the side, the spine, and the top from like the desert landscape or whatever. It looks so good on my shelf though, with the yellow like this. I like it.
Yeah, actually you have a good point.
It looks really nice on the shelf.
It would set itself apart from a lot of the black.
Right. That a lot of these, sci-fi, 90s type stuff. Yeah. The yellow really makes it pop. Flipping it over to the back here, we got one review. A knockout. Will Smith and Kevin Kline are hilarious from CBS TV. And here is our description. If you stuck with us this long and you don't know what West is about yet, here's what Warner Brothers is telling us it's about. If you think special government agent James West is fast with a 6-shooter, wait till he lays a quip on you. Mega hit star Will Smith plays West, reuniting with Men in Black director Barry Sonnenfeld in an effects-loaded shoot from the hip spectacular. Shoot from the lip spectacular. That's clever. Kevin Kline plays fellow agent and crackerjack inventor Artemis Gordon, teamed with West on a daring assignment. Stop legless Dr. Arliss Loveless, Kenneth Branagh, and his diabolical plot for a disunited States of America. Salma Hayek is a mysterious adventuress, Rita Escobar, and all manner of geared-up 1860s gadgets, from belt-buckle derringers to surprise-packed billiard balls to a walking 8-story steam and steel tarantula, help make Wild Wild West, produced by Sonnenfeld and Batman's Jon Peters, into a Wow West. Woof.
Wow, that is a terrible description. That just makes me like. So the cover looks like it's trying to sell to adults, and the description is trying to sell to
children.
Yeah, like Jesus.
And the back pictures they've chosen are Kevin Kline and Will Smith on the flying wasp contraption that he makes, and then another still of Will Smith in the ears of the tarantula that we see later in the film. There's one other special note on here. Special features after the movie: 2 hip-hop music videos, Will Smith's Wild Wild West and Enrique Iglesias' Balamos, are on this tape after the film. So we'll talk about that when we finish talking about the film. Are we ready to pop this bad boy in?
Let's do it. Let's see what we got on this.
Now playing at a motion picture theater near you.
All right, the trailers are...
the first one we see is a 30-second... Actually, they're all fast spots. They're all like 30-second spots, which makes me think...
Were the trailers embarrassed to be on this tape?
No, I think... So the movie itself is 105 minutes. And it says extras, so 2 music videos, total 11 minutes. So that's about 116 minutes. I swear to God, the trailers took about 4 minutes. I think they only paid for 2 hours of tape on here, because the trailers fly by. So I literally think they were just like, get it in at the 2-hour mark, and then we're done. That's all we're going to say.
You know, if you distribute, I don't know, 500,000 of these VHSs, cut a little bit of tape, it'll add up.
Yeah, so I think that's what they were trying to do here, because these trailers are all 30-second spots. First one we see is Jack Frost, that we mentioned before. The family adventure that everyone's going to want to take home.
Yuck.
Jack Frost. It is a 30-second spot and made me want to go back and watch Jack Frost for all the wrong reasons, but like I absolutely need to watch this thing again.
To this day, I still make fun of my mom for owning it.
I saw it in theaters when it came out.
She displays it.
Ooh.
I don't know what's wrong with her.
She loves it. Jack Frost. It's fun for the whole family.
Oh my gosh. And it's one of those A-side, B-side DVDs where one side was full, one side was wide.
Nice. Yeah, because they've never bothered to also upgrade it either. I'm sure if you bought the DVD today, it'd be exactly the same thing. Like, they've been like, nah, nobody's buying this thing.
Except assholes who want to make fun of it.
I
respect.
I do own it. I don't know if I necessarily want to make fun of it, but it is just this weird oddity that I need to explore again.
So what's our second one?
Second trailer, we move on to another 30-second spot for New Lines, because it's owned by Warner Brothers. Big release for '99, Spy Who Shagged Me, that was like their big summer movie. That was New Line's big summer movie, and Warner's big summer movie was this one.
I must have got a drink when that one came on. I don't remember. It's gone, but I don't remember much of the film. I remember the first and third. I remember Goldmember, and I remember the first one. I love the first one.
I love the first. I think it's a perfect movie, perfect comedy anyway. But yeah, the second falls into the trap of just repeating the same jokes from the first one in a different way and hoping to get the same laugh. So it's not very memorable, but the trailer was a fun flashback. We then jump to another 30-second spot, or maybe this one's about a minute. This one's just a little longer, for The Iron Giant.
Great movie.
Yeah, already felt the feels just during this 1 minute spot.
That is one where you kind of judge a person of how they like movies. Like, if you like The Iron Giant, you can dislike a lot of other films that I like. We can be friends.
Yeah, I would honestly really be concerned if somebody really didn't like The Iron Giant. I'm like, why? Who hurt you?
Oh, you might get a bad answer from that.
We move on to a final thing that was actually kind of disappointing. Is they mention that there is going to be a video game called Steel Revolution.
Get ready for a wild ride in this all-new action adventure for the PC. Wild Wild West, the Steel Assassin.
For Wild Wild West, which is a PC game, but then they show no footage from the game. And I was very disappointed by that. So the trailer doesn't show anything. It literally is just text on screen, and we see a screenshot of it, basically.
Ooh.
Steel Assassin. I'm sorry. Yeah, you just pulled it up right now.
Yes, it is.
PC game for Wild Wild West.
Real.
Yeah, we don't see any footage from it, so, whatever. And then, of course, after that little teaser, we get Stay Tuned After the Movie for the music videos, which got me so hyped.
You know what I was very disappointed didn't play before this film? The Burger King commercial.
The delicious Western Whopper with melted cheddar cheese, crispy bacon, and tangy bullseye barbecue sauce. Go wild.
Gordon!
Go west. Go to Burger King. When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
Toys?
I remember the Burger King commercial very clearly. I think they sold a special burger with it.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, because remember they did the special burger for small soldiers as well? The rodeo burger, which they still have on the menu, which is fucking crazy. I want to tell kids, that rodeo burger that's on this Burger King menu is the small soldiers burger.
Oh, man, I own that movie. You know that, right?
Small Soldiers?
Yeah.
Oh, I own it too. I fucking love that movie.
Do you own the clamshell? Or
yeah.
do you own... Okay, good. Then you're a real...
I'm a real Small Soldiers fan, okay?
Because after that, they decided not to spend the money on clamshells anymore, and they just sent it out in the regular box.
Give me that fucking unnecessary plastic.
Let's go right into this feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
Now, this movie is easy to make fun of. So I'm going to try to pull back.
I am not going to make fun of this movie at all. I'm just going to marvel at the insanity. Because how this movie got made is beyond me. This is honestly my first exposure to steampunk. And I'm sure for a lot of kids it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never seen a movie do this beforehand.
Well, mine...
In a big way.
Mine was Tiny with The Rocketeer, which led me into pulp comics, which steampunk, from what I'm not an expert, but from what I understand, pulp comics is like pulled a lot from it. So, yeah, I love the look of this film, and man, I used to defend it, violently. And let's see if younger Steve and older Steve agree. So we start off with a story that starts in 1869 after the American Civil War. And we get a bizarre opening scene where some dude is pulling a saw blade from a chopped off guy's head.
Yes. We see, this is our introduction to Ted Levine's character.
But we don't know
who it is yet. But he's got the megaphone in his ear, and he's got the burnt eye. So he's already an interesting character that we see very early on in the film. And we see the magnetic device pull the blade through the guy's head.
So I think at the very beginning of this sets up like, oh, this might be something good. I even when I watched this movie tape, I was like, okay, starts out fine. That's interesting. What the fuck is that? Then the credits come up, and they're awesome.
Yeah, very 90s. This reminds me, actually, they did it kind of in the Avengers, and I think like the Mod Squad remakes, which are all of these are remakes of 60s shows, because this was the late 90s. Everything was a remake of a 60s show.
Oh, by the way, if you are a fan of Wild Wild West TV series, good for you. I've never seen an episode.
I've never seen any of it, no.
Yeah. Didn't even know this was a remake, honestly, until we sat down to do research. I think I'd heard it, but I forgot.
Yeah, this is a 60s Western TV show that doesn't have any basis in steampunk or anything like that. It is just a low rent bonanza kind of show.
Well, this is where the 90s was in love with the 60s.
Yes. And so they were remaking all these things. And it has, like I said, a very Avengers / and I'm not talking about fucking Marvel Avengers, fucking boring shit. I'm talking about Sean Connery controlling the weather Avengers.
Which, by the way, I don't think Avengers is boring. I'm not the Matt here. So all your hate mail should go to Matt.
Send it my way. I like the first Avengers movie, and then it just falls off for me. But I'm talking about the Sean Connery controlling the weather movie, and then the Mod Squad does the same thing with these like pulpy colors and like the sort of like strips of action happening over the credits. And it starts off with the original 60s theme as it starts, and then we get the 90s remix cool version of it as the credits go on.
I love the credits, and I think they did a spectacular job, and then it goes from downhill from there.
I love the credits. These credits remind me of the Lost in Space credits, but the Lost in Space credits are like my fucking favorite ever, so...
Well, you are a true monster.
And we move on from a really weird and cool and wild opening scene and fun credits to Will Smith hooking up with somebody in a water tower.
The girl from Jamie Foxx's show on the WB.
Yeah, she's like a familiar character actress.
Oh, the WB Wild Wild West produced, distributed by WB.
She was probably under contract. she was probably under contract.
She actually turned into something. I don't know her from much, but she's...
I've seen her.
A strong actress in a lot of TV series.
Yes, I've seen her before. She's fun in this scene, too, where they're hooking up, but he's working. He's on a scout trying to find these guys that are moving.
They're doing it in a fucking water tower. That's disgusting.
Yes.
I have a problem with that. Like, I was like, no. Because you don't know how big this town is. What if that's our only water tower?
Yeah, and you're going to taste sex water. That's what you're going to taste.
Oh. I don't know.
Naked ass and sweat and sex water.
And apparently he busts a nitro run. They were stealing nitro.
Yes.
And the water tower falls. He comes down butt-ass naked. And we get our first, like, inward joke. Like, we got a shy, and he punches him.
Yeah.
Well, we got us a shy Nick.
Hands!
Yes. I was...
This movie
Ooh.
is filled with, like, racist comments. And, like, and I'm not saying in a way where it's like, oh man, this movie's out of date, they say racist things. Like, it's supposed to be showing the characters at this time who don't, accept black people. It's not, I'm not criticizing
this
the movie.
Is right after slavery ends. Like,
yeah.
I get in a way what they're trying
but,
to
like,
do.
there was so much in this movie for the masses.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
what I don't get is, like, it's clearly supposed to be for families.
Right.
But there are sex jokes, slave jokes, gay panic jokes.
Yes.
The almost inward joke. Well, inward jokes, we'll just say. And I'm like, what? Wait, why are we... but this...
Fucking, like, sex jokes. Like,
this movie should have been tailored towards the adults bringing their kids to introduce it.
This is for 10-year-old boys and 10-year-old boys only. And it's like...
The tone is all over the place because there's murder, there's, like, savage moments. We get a guy get decapitated in the first 30 seconds.
Yes. And, like, also, like, this movie does not hold back in that, like... We see, like, Will Smith's nuts in this scene.
I know!
And I'm like, whoa, I just saw, like, some turkey neck for no reason. Like,
I was trying to figure out, is that really him or is that a stunt guy?
Well, a stunt guy or Will Smith or whoever, we see nuts in this movie.
It is, like, one frame. But it is
there.
Enough.
It is there.
My brain is like, I know that.
Yeah, it is. Ooh, there is a sack in this movie. Very early on when he falls out of the water tower.
And then we find out his name is Jim West. So if you don't know that, I don't know if I mentioned it. So the next character we get introduced to is Artemus Gordon, which is dressed up as a very ugly saloon girl.
Yes. And that is a joke that they rely on for most of this movie. It's like, remember how ugly Kevin Kline looked as a woman? And it's like, woo, you guys keep going back to that one.
Remember, ladies, if you're ugly, you're horrible.
Yeah, God, so mean. So mean.
Well, if you would have done it one time, like, please don't ever dress up like a woman again because you don't look anything like it, I'd have been like, fair enough.
Yeah.
You know what? People... It doesn't matter. You know what? If a dude dresses up like a woman and it looks horrible, fine, call attention to it. It can be a funny joke. But don't keep doing
it's
it.
It's a crutch. It is a crutch in this movie, yeah.
Like, Jesus, stop it.
Again, if you're making a movie for 10-year-old boys, it's a joke that works once. But again, yeah, this over-reliance on it, like, is insane.
Yeah, where it makes me, like... I just don't feel right about it. There's something where I'm like, stop it.
Yes.
And it's not funny.
Yeah, no, it's like Kevin Kline is in drag, and that is the joke, but it's like there's no joke there. Well, it's just like, look at that man in a dress, and it's like, well, that's not inherently funny. Like, why are we... Oh, yeah.
Okay, move on.
It's
Then we get introduced to the actress that is basically barely used in this. We get Salma Hayek as Rita, who is also saloon girl, but is kind of different than all the other saloon girls because, one, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, because, like, when there's the scene where Ted Levine's character wants to hook up with one of the girls at the bordello or whatever, this saloon where there are the prostitutes, he goes through a lineup of all of them, and they all have, like, giant sores, and, their hair is falling out, and, like, they've gone over the top with, like, the STD disease thing.
No need. We got it, okay? Like, just tone it. That's what this whole movie needs to do. Less gadgets, tone it down, okay? Just can we back up a little bit?
I don't know. I think the not toning it down is what makes this movie so memorable. But it is so over the top. Like, I feel like it's screaming at me. There's another scene.
You got the most, like, extreme makeup person you could find.
Yes. And this is another scene. In this same scene, very early on in the movie, we now have seen Ted Levine's character a couple times. He's sitting there admiring Selma Hayek and then eventually interested in Kevin Kline, which is hilarious, but...
A big sturdy guy like you.
He fucking empties his ear, which is just the sickest, and I'm never going to be able to get this image out of my head again.
I forgot about that's disgusting.
It's just a passing joke in the movie, but I'm like, no, that shit's fucking severely damaging. Don't just gloss over that. Like, they only do it once in the movie, and they only do it once at the beginning, but it is so shocking and disgusting that, like, I'll never be able to get that out of my head.
Yeah, and then outside, oh man, yeah, that's gross. Outside the actual saloon, Jim West stops the nitro wagon, and then he has like eagle eye vision, which they actually come back to another time in the film, but they don't actually, they don't tell. So, okay, I'll give you that. That he has fantastic vision. Probably what makes him such a good shot.
Right, probably. It's probably in the show also.
Probably, but they don't call attention to it in this movie. You just kind of like figure it out.
Yeah.
So he goes right in there to get Bloodbath McGrath, which is trying to hook up with Artemus Gordon, dressed up as a prostitute. We get into a big old fun saloon fight. Jim West ends up like getting into the same room with Jim West because he is hypnotizing Bloodbath McGrath with a gadget that breaks.
Yes.
Which is kind of will become a running theme in this, where Artemis Gordon's disguises and gadgets are almost good.
Right.
Like not until the end does he get something right.
Right.
So, that's like the kid joke. It's like, hey kids, isn't it funny?
Yeah, but it's like also like all these gadgets. It's like, oh, these are here to sell toys. Like
fucking lame.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane early on.
But whoever got to do those props, kudos, because they're good.
They're amazing. Yeah. They're fucking amazing because everything like props wise in this movie is tangible. It's all really there. And like they are fucking amazing designs.
I'm impressed with the amount of realness. I mean,
yes.
Like, I don't know how other way. There's a lot of real in this.
Yeah, I mean, basically, other than the over-the-top huge things like the giant mechanical spider, everything's real in this movie. Everything.
Yeah, spectacular props throughout this. Now, it might be cheesy as fuck, but those production designers, good job.
Yeah, God.
Also, the costume design.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All these costumes are iconic for them. Like, if you're like, hey, Will Smith in Wild Wild West, you immediately picture what he looks like in this movie. It's iconic.
Good job. So then we see Loveliss, which we don't know is Loveliss at the time, and he sends the cart down to blow up the bar. I don't even know why he blows it up.
Well, he's like, all right, they're fighting in there. Jim West is in there. Let's just take care of him. Sends this thing down. It goes to blow up in the thing. Artemis and Jim West look at each other because they're fighting because they don't know each other yet, and they're like got in each other's way. They're fighting, and they go, now what? And the place explodes, and we just cut to black. We don't know what happens to them. We don't know like how they survived this blast. We don't know like where they went after. Like we know nothing. The place just explodes. Cut to next scene. Everybody's fine.
Yeah, my notes go like this. At the very end, it says, Dr. Arliss Loveless blows up the bar, then we are at White House.
Yes. It is completely insane. And I was like, did we miss something? Was something just like... But like, you know what?
It's called a cutscene.
It keeps the movie moving. I'm not mad at it. I'm just pointing it out.
So we get next Artemis dressed up as Grant, the president, which is a fantastic job.
Yeah, and also Kevin Kline plays Grant when the real Grant comes out as well, which is just wonderfully weird.
I did not know he was playing the real Grant until years after this. I was like, no, he plays the fake Grant. And someone's like, no, he plays the real Grant too. And I'm like, no, you're an idiot. Turns out I'm the idiot.
Well, I mean, the makeup is really good.
Yes.
And he's doing a different voice and everything like that. Kevin Kline's an amazing actor. So, like, fair enough. But, like, yeah, it is the same.
So basically, he's there to drop a ridiculous amount of exposition. I will give them the scene is fine for the exposition dump. If you're going to do this, at least make it interesting.
Well, they break it up with a bunch of jokes
and
everything like that. And it's Will Smith's charisma and Kevin Kline's whimsy. It works.
Well, Kevin Kline's like dumb smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
Weird line they're trying to have him, tiptoe through. We find out all the scientists, the leading scientists, and all the main, chemistry, mathematics, whatever. They've all been kidnapped. No one knows where they're at. And the president makes them work together, which, oh no, this is part of the we don't work together, we work alone.
Yes.
Is we've got the kind of like the moxie, shoot from the hip, don't think, jump in. Shoot first, shoot last, shoot again, ask questions after everyone's dead.
Yeah.
And then we get the overthinker and the guy who just like has to dress up in all the costumes and be like
very theatrical with his interrogations and things like that. So
we get them together. They get on the super amazing train called the Wanderer, which when I was younger, fucking loved it. Now I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it's a cool looking train, but why are there, come on, slow down on the gadgets. But you know what? I do rip the Bond films a lot sometimes, but I feel like they figured out, only have about 2 or 3 gadgets.
Nah, I don't like the Bond films. Give me more. More is more.
No,
more is more, baby. Give me a ton of them.
There is a such thing as too much in this film.
I'm not saying defending this film, but I'm a more is more kind of person. I don't like the Bond films. I like give me a lot of shit.
Your audience can't keep up with it, and not only that, it feels like your production studio can't keep up with it. They're like, wait, is this one important or not? I don't know.
And also just once we get to this scene and everything and we are introduced to 1,000 gadgets at once, this is where the movie just feels like a super coked up mile a second movie. Everything is just flying at us at this point. I love the scene where I love the contraption and how they made it look in the film where Kevin Kline flips Will Smith underneath the pool table and everything. That scene looks incredible, and only a weirdo psychopath like Barry Sonnenfeld could pull this off, but it looks really cool.
Did you notice he also put the don't touch button in, which he did in Men in Black?
Yeah.
With the super speed on the car.
Yeah.
Wait, is that something he has to put in a film? I thought that was odd. I was like, as a super nerd, maybe that would only stand out to me. And
there is one, and we're going to get to it in a second, but there is one visual gag in this movie that is just for such deep cut nerds that I don't know why it's in this movie. We're going to get to it in a second, though. But there's something like that where I'm like, who is this joke for?
There's a lot of jokes that I think could fall into that, but I'm interested to see which one you're going to pull out. So they're on the train, and they look at the scientist. They find the clue of the severed head scientist at the beginning.
Yes.
He has some contraption that shows what someone last saw, and it happens to be Bloodbath McGrath. It's upside down. You need glasses on the scientist, and then we get Will Smith's super eyes. He reads the invitation, and it is an invitation to a party down in Louisiana, New Orleans.
Yes. They go to New Orleans first.
Yeah. Well, they go to New Orleans and then Utah.
Yes. I was trying to think of which one they went to first.
It's just, and then we go straight to the party, basically, and
I want to point out, though, the head scene is incredible.
Well, that's again when
it's such a cool. It's
Will Smith keeps saying that's a severed head.
Makes me laugh though. It works. His delivery is wonderful in that scene.
That is Will Smith. Will Smith probably ad-libbed all of that, and they're like, keep it because it's Will Smith.
That's a severed head. It's so funny.
And Kevin Kline's just saying mumbo jumbo. I don't remember one damn thing he says. All I remembered is, that's a severed head. And like the way he pronounces it, love it. Yeah. So they go down to New Orleans. They come and they sneak into a party. Oh yeah, you know what? On the train, that's when we get the gay panic.
Let me tell you something about your beloved art of disguise, Gordon. That night at Fat Cans, it wasn't a difficult task to see that you weren't a woman.
I was propositioned by 3 men.
You looked nasty. Just butt ugly. I mean, your breasts were hard and stiff and sticking out like a couple of rusty cannons on a sunken ship.
These breasts are a work of art. Aesthetically and scientifically perfect.
They look like shit.
Touch them.
I'm not touching those things.
What, are you afraid you're wrong? Touch my breasts. Just one. Touch one.
Okay. You happy, Gordon? I'm touching your breasts.
I knew it.
Wait. Squeeze it gently. Not that hard. Now you've shifted all the buckwheat around.
Buckwheat? That's your problem.
What are you doing?
Now touch my breast. Ooh, huh? Now that's what a breast is supposed to feel like.
Very nice.
Now touch yourself.
Oh my God, I'm hard.
And then there's like a reference to a blowjob too, and then like
Well, like, okay, so I don't mind the booby feeling one, honestly. It's when you pair it with the blowjob one, and I think there's another.
Yeah, it happens again. Well, and I mean, I guess it could be said in defense of this movie, but I'm not going to defend it because it's still a joke in the movie that is meant for audiences to laugh, and it's kind of fucked up. But I can see them saying like, "Oh, it's that time. It's the 1860s. That wasn't a man's got to be a man type thing." I get it,
but this is
not, they're still using it as a joke. It's still
this is a period piece movie that isn't a period piece.
Yeah, it's a nondescript, fantastical time. It is Western meets steampunk. So
it's just like, you know what? You can do one gay joke like that. Just don't make it offensive. Don't make it like, oh, if you're gay, you're bad.
Which they kind of do.
Yeah.
So it's not great. Yeah.
Well, it's the train conductor that
Yes.
makes it feel bad. He's just like, I knew something was wrong with them.
Right.
And you're like, no, that's not.
It's
Whoa.
Like, no.
If you just would have done like touch my boob and he would have been like, and then just walked off with a funny look on his face.
That's all you need to do.
That's all you need
to do. Yeah. They punctuate a little too hard, and it was kind of not okay.
That's what they fucking do throughout this entire film. They punctuate everything too hard.
Well, we're going to get to the insult off scene that goes a little bit too far as well.
Oh, wow. That one, yeah. So, let's skip straight. They're at a party. East meets West. Jim West is attractive. They have... Loveliss has these women henchmen.
Yes, that's his thing.
Yeah, he has all these women bodyguards, henchmen, and they're all intelligent. Like, they all have their thing. Like... There's one who can read lips.
Right.
There's one who's like, I think her name is even, it's not ammunition, it's Munitia.
Munitia, and she's the gun.
Yeah,
one.
she's the gun. Jim West kills Miss East, and a clever gag where a bunch of people were inside
pictures.
Yeah.
And the very Barry Sonnenfeld punctuation on that joke is when he shoots all the pictures and they all fall down. Yeah. He walks out of the room and somebody falls from the ceiling.
Yeah, great timing.
Hilarious.
That was one where I was like, okay, that felt like his gag.
Yeah, that was a good bit. That was really good.
And then we go into the party where Jim West bumps into Loveliss, which, by the way, the introduction to Loveliss is spot on.
It is spectacular.
He knows what film he's in. And would you like to introduce the actor?
This film features Academy Award winner Kenneth Branagh in this film, giving probably one of his best performances for obviously one of the worst movies he's in. But he gives more than 110%. This guy is fucking on fire in this movie.
I think him and Ted Levine know what type of film they're in.
They get it. Will Smith is doing his shtick. Kevin Kline is doing his shtick that he was doing at the time. But those two are the unsung heroes of this movie because they are like, oh, this movie's just fucking nonsense. So I'm gonna just play it at 11 the whole time.
But their characters also feel like they're from this time period.
Yes.
Will Smith and Kevin Kline feel just like oddballs.
Well, it's modern. It's a lot of modern comedy with them. It's a lot of like the modern cool guy with Will Smith and the comedic sidekick with Kevin Kline.
Yes.
But with Kenneth Branagh, he embodies this role.
I didn't even know it was Kenneth Branagh for the first 10 years of watching this.
Like, he disappears in this role, and it does lead to a scene that I think is both terrible but also kind of hilarious. The insult off that I just mentioned.
How nice of you to join us tonight and add color to these monochromatic proceedings.
Well, when a fella comes back from the dead, I find that an occasion to stand up, be counted.
Miss East informs me that you were expecting to see General McGrath here. Well, I knew him years ago, but I haven't seen him in a coon's age.
Well, I can see where it'd be difficult for a man of your stature to keep in touch with even half the people you know.
Well, perhaps the lovely Miss East will keep you from being a slave to your disappointment.
Well, you know, beautiful women, they encourage you one minute and cut the legs out from under you the next.
Quite. Excuse me, Mr. West. Thank you.
Oh, it is so uncomfortable, but at the same time, could have watched that for the rest of the movie.
I'm trying to figure out, because I knew this movie went through expensive reshoots. Well, test audiences couldn't figure out if this was a comedy or a drama, which annoys me because I think you've done your job then. Because you're just in the film. But because they listen to teenagers.
They're like more comedy.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically this insult off that we're referencing is Kenneth Branagh makes a ton of black jokes and Will Smith makes a ton of you have no legs jokes. And
crippled jokes. Let's that's basically
let's
yeah.
call it as it is. It is crippled jokes.
Oh, do you not have legs from the war? Well then fuck you. Oh, are you black? Well fuck you.
Yeah, it is insane. Like, and there's only one other. This comes back one more time. They kind of do a reprise of it at the end, but like this scene, there's so many problems with this.
I will give,
but like
the
at the
actors
same time, I'm laughing. It's working.
I will give the actors credit. They 100% committed to this.
Yes.
So kudos.
And like they are obviously extraordinarily offensive jokes, but I feel like they're sort of improv, which just gives me like a little taste of the darkness in both of their brains, and it's kind of fun to watch.
The one that got me was I haven't seen him in a coon's age.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so bad. Yeah.
So then they do the fake hanging of Will Smith because he was playing drums on a robust lady's boobies.
Yes, because he thinks it's Kevin Kline dressed up again, and it's not. Kevin Kline is dressed up like the Russian, whatever they call him. Yeah, the woman is just a woman with big boobs, and he drums on them, and so they're gonna hang him.
Thank God they didn't do a fat joke. I thought they were going to do a fat joke.
They just went with big boobs on that one. And yeah, they're going to hang him, but it's a rubber rope, and he naturally gets away, and he escapes with Arliss.
And Arliss rescues Rita so she can continue to not do much in this
Yeah,
film.
so they can continue to fight over her, and she's not interested in either of them anyway.
Yeah, because they do, when they're on the train, we have another fucking gag where it's just like, oh, if you... And this one, they don't even wait a while to pay off. They're like, oh, if you press this button on the pool ball, it turns into like a gas that knocks you out. And so they're following Loveliss. Loveliss has the train that like has legs and like stands up outside of a tunnel. So they pass him, and then Loveliss goes down.
Well, no, this is later.
That's later?
Yeah, now is the ass gag is now. Right?
No, we also forgot to say that, God, there's so much going on in this film. Because also we see the death of Bloodbath McGrath and his men.
This has the visual gag in it. Why is this in this film? So Yeah, so we're skipping ahead there a little bit. Yeah, basically they go on the train with Selma Hayek or whatever. We cut to Loveliss mows down all of Bloodbath McGrath's soldiers in a demonstration of this new thing he's building and how, they need to perfect it or whatever. And in turn then murders McGrath. When he dies, his fucking ear thing turns sideways and the little dog runs up to it to do the RCA Records logo, which...
Oh my gosh, yeah!
Which I pulled up here for reference. That they literally do a visual gag joke reference to that.
I've heard about this in the past.
In the movie, and I'm like, why the fuck is this in here?
Someone has to own some stock in RCA.
Maybe. I was curious if they put out the record for the...
Maybe they did.
They didn't. Interscope did.
I don't know. It's very confusing.
Which maybe Interscope owns RCA or something like that.
Maybe it was a 90s joke we don't get anymore.
It was clearly... The RCA label was clearly on the back of CDs, so kids probably knew it.
I don't know. It was weird.
But the choice to have that in the movie, and I caught it right away when it happened this time, because they turn the ear out and the dog just runs up and cocks his head like the picture, and I was just like, the RCA Records logo? Why?
I don't know. It's a good catch. I remember hearing about that. I didn't catch it while watching this because there's so much going on.
I'm sure there's weird shit like that throughout the movie that I will never catch.
So Bloodbath McGrath dies. Jim West finds out that he's actually not responsible for the massacre at New Liberty, which at the point in this film I had forgotten Jim West was after Bloodbath because of that. I completely forgot.
You're right. Yeah, this is a reminder that he's not responsible. It's Loveliss. So this revenge.
So it was supposed to be like a lot of these films do that where like one of your characters has an enemy and the other one does. And it would make sense that Jim West would have Bloodbath because they're both like the soldiers.
Yeah.
And then you'd have Loveliss and Artemis because they're both intelligent and
intellectuals and things like that. Yeah.
But it turns out that Jim West doesn't even get to kill Bloodbath, and then Jim West has the basically one-on-one with Loveliss at the end. I'm like, what? That's why I think the making fun of each other was added at the end. Where it's just like, you know what? Why would Jim West fight him at the end? Well, we need more comedy. Let's put this scene in. I don't know. That is just me completely guessing.
Yeah, I have no idea. But, so now we get to the ass joke, which Salma Hayek is going to bed on the train, and the flap is down on the nightie that Jim West gives her. We see her ass, and then they go back and forth saying breast and ass replaced in sentences that they're saying, which is just another gag in the movie.
Yeah, this one didn't offend me so much.
No, it's not offensive.
Other than it just wasn't. It's not funny.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
If you would have done it one time, he's like, "What are you breast talking?" Something like that. Right. And then Jim West would have looked at him, and then he would have looked back at him. Cut.
Yeah, no, there's your fix right there. But they do it back and forth 3 or 4 times, and it's like, ooh, this is like some old timey comedy you're trying out that is just spectacularly failing.
Yeah, it also could be a poop joke because her flap was down. Did she just take a number 2?
Yeah, they could have went that way. I don't know. 10-year-old boy humor.
Yeah.
Who knows? Let's get to the fucking spider.
Okay, so fuck it. We go to Utah, and they capture Rita. They end up in a field. They can't step outside this box because they have the magnetic net things on. Yeah. Of course, Jim West just goes, fuck it, I'm getting out of this box. Runs. The saw with the spider logo.
Yeah, comes after them.
Which
is like a scene that's very memorable from the teaser trailer, I think, for this movie. Yeah. So I remember it's very iconic to this movie because
there's another little boy joke in here. It's a penis joke. His machine that fires the saws looks like a giant dick.
And yeah, he's like, I've got Rita now. When Loveliss is taunting them, I've got Rita now. You don't think I could build something to take advantage of her with? Cut to the machine. And it's literally throbbing forward. And I'm like, oh my God.
I'm going to have to open another beer after that joke because I could not believe they put that in. So I got my beer, break over. We get the penis joke, and then right after they jump into the mud pit, we get a blowjob joke.
Yes, they keep getting magnetized to each other because, they've avoided the trap, they fell into shit, and now they keep getting magnetized to each other, which naturally Jim West gets magnetized to Kevin Kline's belt buckle, and blowjob joke once again. There we are. Here we are again. Roll my eyes, move on. Giant mechanical spider.
And then somehow they get to the Golden Rail Award where Grant is going to, knock in this golden spike for the railroad, whatever, and then Kline shows up. And then we get in the background, because we kept hearing stomping, and when they reveal it's a giant spider, mechanical spider, that is really where this movie just goes, fuck it. Even after all the shit we've described, this is where the movie truly just goes, fuck it.
Guys, if you've never seen this movie, and I'm sure you guys know of the mechanical spider. It's on the cover, it's on the poster. Everybody knows about it from this movie. This movie is insane. I can't even begin to describe just the nonsensical moving of the plot. The villain is a legless dude who drives a giant robotic fire-breathing mechanical spider. Let's sit on that for a second. Are you fucking kidding me?
In what world would this be a smart weapon? If there's tanks in this world, which there aren't at this time period, but there are cannons.
He's clearly building a tank-like thing, which he then turns into this. It's why didn't you just go with the tank?
So, if you would use something that would cost this much resources in, oil, steam, coal, whatever you say would use this, one good shot with a cannon would knock the leg out under it. Boom, you'd be on the ground.
Which is what happens when it's revealed that Kenneth Branagh has the mechanical legs as well.
Yes.
When his chair gets strapped and he's fighting with Jim West, he reveals the legs. Literally, Arliss just shoots one of the legs, all the fucking oil comes out, and they fall and they don't work.
Yes.
And that's all you need to do with this giant thing.
Yeah.
But instead of that, they saw in the desert on their way there a wasp sting and kill a tarantula. So they're like, oh, let's fly in like a wasp. And that's how they get in there. And of course, the flying invention does work. And the bit where they fall off and it waits a really long time for them to fly back in works pretty well because the timing's pretty good. But they fly on and then they have this big fight. And so Jim West is fighting with all the henchmen. And can we just talk about the line when...
Are you talking about the hanging, where he hangs the guy by the chain?
I literally wanted to scream. Just scream.
Should I just play the audio clip, or do you want to say it also?
Just play the audio clip.
That's it. No more Mr. Knife Guy.
Was this... Okay, what is the most surprising out of all these jokes that we've talked about?
This one.
Is it?
Mr. Knife Guy? Shut the fuck up.
This one isn't offensive, dated, or uncomfortable. It's just embarrassing.
Yes, it hurts me. Honestly, I'll take more of the insults. None of this. None of the bad one-liners. It's so bad.
This is the first one that made me slap my forehead, where I was like, oh...
I screamed. I screamed.
Anyway, Jim West... I think Gordon shoots the line that releases all the oil.
Yeah.
And then the spider starts to stop. Jim West is fighting Loveliss. Loveliss crawls back, begging to get back in his... Did he crawl back in a wheelchair or his other spider?
Well, he climbed back in the wheelchair.
Yeah, that's right.
Stuck in the wall and the gears or whatever.
We should also mention Loveless's costume for war is so over the top and brilliant. It is basically what this actor is doing for this role. It's just unnecessary and beautiful at the same time.
Yes, unnecessarily gigantic.
Yes. But he crawls back and he's like, please don't kill me, Jim West. And then he tries to shoot him with a hidden gun. He hits the steam pipe. The spider stops before the cliff.
And they go flying.
Yeah, and then
Then the insult off happens once again.
Yeah, they did it again.
They bring it back. And I don't remember what the trade-off was. And honestly, if I did remember, I don't want to say it on here. But it was funny this time. They saved the good jokes for this one.
Well, at this point, I was done with the film, so I didn't care as much.
But basically, yeah, he drops Loveliss. He's dead. And then, they get the spider, they build the railroad, and all is fine. And somehow it's I was married the whole time.
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in either of you.
Well, now that I rewatched this film, I picked up that the scientist's name was Escobar, and they never say Rita's last name. So you can kind of put it together now.
Yeah, obviously.
Like a Latin name with a Latin woman, you're just like, oh, yes, for 10-year-old boys? Really? You think you should put this together? But I never did as a youngin'.
No, but what you're supposed to put together, and she mentions it, is what you're supposed to think that's her father.
Yes, yeah.
And she says, all this time you thought it was my father. It's my husband.
Yeah.
Because she can't have any identity on her own. It has to be a man who is her identity. But, that's a 90s problem we got to deal with in and of itself. But
women have identities? The only thing that defines her is chasing after her dad, which ends up being her husband. She has nothing. What?
She's quirky. She says quirky things about them.
So dumb?
Not dumb. I don't think she's.
No, but that's what they're portraying here.
I didn't get dumb. I got quirky. I got she's just a bit odd.
I don't quirky. Maybe some of the
defending this movie too much. But
maybe originally she was written as quirky, but somehow down the line
she just
turned
got dumbed down.
Yeah,
I believe that.
Jim West and Artemus Gordon become the number 1 and number 2 Secret Service agents. They fight about who's number 1. Grant rolls his eyes, and then we find out that they ride off into the sunset in a giant spider.
Yes, and a giant mechanical spider that is now theirs.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Before we move on, we have to talk about then what comes after the tape, after the film.
Music. Kids, you might not know this, but there are these things where songs have videos, music videos, and they used to play on MTV, not YouTube.
And also I feel like nowadays the kids don't even watch music videos on YouTube. They just listen to Spotify and that's it. But back in these days, there still were.
Yeah.
And even better, I remember the making a video of this because it was a big fucking deal that they were going to be we're going to not only debut the music video for Wild Wild West, first we're going to show you the making of, and then we're going to debut it.
Yeah, the marketing for this film with the making of the movie, the making of the music video, the Burger King commercials, the just a nauseating 30-second TV spot. This movie blanket covered just like Independence Day did, and it didn't work.
Also, that I remember reading somewhere, and we can talk about this in behind the scenes in a second, but I figured I'd just cover it now before we get into music videos. I read somewhere too that Wild Wild West actually made a bunch of money from teenagers buying tickets for it to go see the South Park movie because they came out the same weekend. So they figured that a lot of the ticket sales from that opening weekend were actually teenagers buying tickets for that and sneaking into South Park, because South Park kind of bombed when it came out in theaters. So it broke even or whatever, but it wasn't a big hit. And they figured, and they researched it, and they were kids buying tickets to Wild Wild West and sneaking into South Park. So a lot of their ticket sales weren't even for this movie.
South Park was one of the ones that was banned in my house because we were old enough to watch it, or at least I was. Mm-hmm. Well, in my mind, I was old enough. But yeah, my mom hated South Park.
Every mom hated South Park.
Most likely, a lot of the big point was for the sheer fact that I would walk around doing Cartman.
Yeah.
Makes me pee.
Everybody did that.
And she hated his voice. Hated it.
Yeah.
We put that up. We had a most wanted list with my mom, and Cartman was on there, and Tommy Boy, or Chris Farley, and then a lot of the wrestlers that she didn't like. We always say the most wanted, and we figured that she hated fat people. So we'd always tease her like, Mom, why'd you hate a fat peepee? Don't you want to be nice to the fatties? And then I was a fat kid, so I would be like, "You hate me." Like I was that dramatic kid.
That's hilarious.
So
anyway, let's get these music videos.
Do you? Oh no, music videos. So the Wild West video.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
No, you don't want nada. None of this. Six gunning this, brother running this. Buffalo soldier. Look, it's like I told you. Any damsel that same distress be out of that dress when she meet Jim West.
Wonderful. Honestly, I don't really have a lot to say about it because I could just watch it forever and be fine with it.
I love seeing Cisco again and then remembering, oh yeah, Cisco.
But Drew Hill at the time. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He was Drew Hill. Yeah.
Wait, so he was Drew Hill and then Cisco?
Yes.
Wait, Cisco was the silver hair.
Cisco was Silver Hair Thong Song. Drew Hill was like the R&B romantic
Yeah,
song.
that's why he says Drew Hill in the song. Yeah.
But yes,
same person.
It is
same
Cisco,
person to
though.
me.
Yes,
same character. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, he did like the Hannah Montana like character thing, but like he's the same person. Wonderful. Stevie Wonder shows up.
No, that's
Alfonso
another
shows up in the video.
That's another example of the white man stealing the black man's art. Cisco was Drew Hill.
And here comes fucking Miley
Cyrus, Hannah Montana. God damn it, she got a TV show.
Fucking Disney. Anyway, wonderful video, which is then followed by the Balamos video, which isn't really super. It doesn't have footage from Wild Wild West or anything in it. Basically, they just walk in cowboy hats at the beginning, and that's it.
I don't really understand why this is at the end of the was this?
It's on the soundtrack. It's from the soundtrack.
I Scott Rogered the soundtrack. That means you skip it.
Oh, okay.
You listen to the first few seconds. Scott Roger from Horror Movie Night, also part of the Geekscape Network, has created a verb called Scott Rogering something, which is you fast forward through a movie.
Okay. We did not fast forward through the movie, but you did fast forward through the soundtrack. I'm a huge Dr. Dre fan, believe it or not. How was it? Was it terrible? I would assume it would be terrible.
We'll see. I have the YouTube Red, so I get to watch the music videos. That one, it was just 90s.
Oh, okay.
It's just I don't get why Dr. Dre's on this soundtrack, because Dr. Dre is known being a gangster rapper, and then you have Will Smith, which is like positivity rapping.
Yeah, safe rap. Yeah,
I don't.
Probably because it was popular at the time. The Chronic 2001 was coming out, so that's probably why.
Yeah. All right. Well, whatever.
Whatever.
It is okay.
So those are our videos. I have almost stuck in my head all day today, and probably will for the next month. But that wraps up our tape for this movie. If you see this in the store, do you pick it up?
Oh, gotta. This is amazing.
You gotta. It is a relic for the 90s. It is definitely a window to that time, and it is complete insanity.
It's a bizarre misfire that appeals to no one because it's trying to appeal to everyone, but it ends up accidentally appealing to trash fans.
I was uncomfortable for a majority of this film. However, I could not look away. And when I had to pause it to go do something else, go to the bathroom or get food or something, I was literally running back to the couch to pick it back up. I needed to finish it.
So let's go. You know what? We got a lot to talk about just nerding out on this film. So let's put something in our museum now. So entering the museum.
Okay.
This is the second time I've had to reclaim my property from you.
That belongs in a museum.
So do you.
This is the part of the show where we put something good or bad in it. If it's bad, we got to learn. If it's good, well, it's our nugget of gold. Matt, what do you got?
There is so much fucking stuff in this movie that I love, but obviously the most spectacular special effect in this movie is, of course, Kenneth Branagh, Academy Award winner Kenneth Branagh. Not just stealing every scene he's in, but fucking ripping it from your hands and holding it ransom.
He's amazing. I have two things written down for this: Kenneth Branagh and the amazing costumes. So I will put in the costumes in this movie because they're just spot on. And then when you go into more of the production design on it, it's beautiful. If you look at all the stuff they're in, the White House, the Southern, like ball, the train, the Wanderer, and then even the set design of the spider, which is, completely ridiculous, but you look in the background, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is done by high quality craftsmen, and because this movie is such a joke, I don't think they get the credit they deserve.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm putting this in so the people behind the scenes can actually get some credit because it's awesome.
Yeah, no, the work that's put in. Even, you know what, I'll even say the dated special effects are still pretty amazing. There's so many little details in that spider.
Yeah.
It's good work.
Some of it doesn't age well because they're trying way too much.
But the work that's there.
But the work is there, yeah. So I'm not bashing the crafters. I'm bashing the people who decided this was the best way to go about it. So.
Just before we're about to crack into the behind the scenes, which I'm sure we're gonna have to burn through because there's so much of it.
This is kind of like a Mario Brothers episode. That one was so long because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, but just one other thing that this is actually I've seen this movie 4 times now. This is the 4th time I've seen it, and also 3 of those times have been within the last 5 years because I own this tape and people are like, "You have Wild Wild West? Put that on. I want to just see the insanity." So it makes for a great party movie. But this is the first time I noticed this. 2 of the writers on this movie, the writers of Tremors, which blew my mind.
Wait, what?
Yes, S.S. Wilson and Brett Maddock are Tremors, Heart and Souls, Batteries Not Included. That's these guys. 2 of the 4 credited writers on this movie.
Okay, that surprises me.
Kind of insane, right?
Yeah. So let's get into the meat of this. So the rest of this was part 1. Let's go into part 2 of this. We got to talk about Jon Peters, the producer, the main producer on this. This guy's borderline crazy.
Right, this guy's insane. This is the producer of Batman.
Well, Tim Burton does not like him, but loves his money.
Right, and he was going to put up the money for Tim Burton to do Superman Lives after Batman. This is the notorious story. Kevin Smith wrote the script for Superman Lives. Tim Burton was going to direct it. Jon Peters was going to produce it. And Peters had one request for the movie. Make sure at the end, Superman fights a giant mechanical spider.
Yes.
And Kevin Smith was like, "What? Are you kidding me? Are you serious?" And he's like, "Put it in the script. We're not making this movie unless Superman fights a spider at the end."
He's like, "I got some directives for you if you're going to move forward on the process. Some things I want you to do and don't in the script." He's going, 3 things. Okay, I said, all right. He's going, 1, I don't want to see him in that suit. 2, I don't want to see him fly. And 3, he's got to fight a giant spider in the 3rd act. I said, but the giant spider intrigues me. Why that? And he's like, do you know anything about spiders? And I said, no. And he said, well, they're the fiercest killers in the insect kingdom. And I was like, what does that have to do with our non-flying Superman? Tim Burton, once he signs the deal, turns around and says, I'm going to bring on my guys to write a script. And the Warner Brothers guys were like, well, what about the script we're developing? And he said, I don't want to use that. I want to do my own script. So they turn around and they tell me, Kevin, we're kind of done. Tim wants to go another way with a new writer. And then I got shit canned off and I started throwing Superman stuff away because who needs to be reminded? But I was really reminded the next summer when I went to the movies and saw a movie that Jon Peters had produced. And it was called The Wild Wild West. So I'm sitting in the theater watching the movie. I'm like, good Lord, this is a piece of shit. But then all of a sudden, like a giant fucking spider shows up.
Which, this story is so fascinating that I actually finally watched The Death of Superman Lives, the documentary. Jon Peters actually goes on to completely deny that.
Which is bullshit. Because...
which is really funny is because later on in the documentary, he starts the, I don't remember thing. So it's kind of like, wait, you were very definitive that you didn't say all this stuff. But when you're talking about the Tim Burton around the exact same time, he doesn't remember.
Right.
So spectacular bullshit.
Right. So, and then the punchline of this story always that I'm sure nerds that listen to this podcast have heard, but Kevin Smith says the project is dead. Superman Lives isn't happening. Kevin Smith goes to the movie theater to see Wild Wild West like everybody else does. The week it comes out, they get to the end, and he goes, oh my God, there's my fucking giant mechanical spider on this Jon Peters movie, and that's how I got here.
It's just, by the way, if you've not seen that documentary, it's fascinating because I actually would have loved to seen the Tim Burton, Nicolas Cage Superman. When you see the snapshot, it looks ridiculous. But actually, when you see the suit fully functioning, I would have seen it. A lot of people laughed at him when he got Batman. And it was spectacular.
Fucking cultural phenomenon.
So it changed. It changed. I mean, how genre films were made. First of all, you had Batman. It's the only reason Dick Tracy could spend $100 million.
I mean, Batman kicked in an entire genre of these dark comic.
Literally, Darkman is made because of Batman.
Yeah, like all of these movies, Batman kicked in the door for. So God bless him. But. Yeah, that's Jon Peters. He's a bit of a nutcase.
He also did The Money Train, which is tailor-made for us. Just like the fucking Analog Jones should do Money Train because that is fucking dumb.
I love that movie.
Of course, exactly! So, let's go on to the director, which is a man I know both of us love, Barry Sonnenfeld.
He is the director of Men in Black, which is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Well, I mean, let's not forget, both Addams Family movies, and he directed Get Shorty, but what really makes him stand out is he started as a cinematographer, and he also became one of Hollywood's best, because he did movies like Big, which, okay, maybe that isn't one you think about cinematography, but then he did Misery. And I think once he did Misery, game over. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and they basically said, you are literally making these movies that are huge, working on them as a cinematographer. You've got an eye. You're amazing. And basically, I think Tim Burton is the reason Barry Sonnenfeld got a career because these dark, weird movies started getting
Addams
made.
Family, yeah.
And then Barry Sonnenfeld got the job to direct Addams Family, which, could not have happened if it wasn't for Tim Burton. But, his look, Sonnenfeld's look, is so unique and weird also. And, he does a lot of, we talked about, the fast forwarding and the slam zooms and the super pan outs and, He's very active with the camera.
I heard him talk one time in one of his films that he just fell in love with, learned so much, learned a lot about the business and how to shoot and everything like that, was Raising Arizona. Mm-hmm. And of course, who directed that? Coen Brothers. Yeah. So, man, this guy has worked with not only fascinating people, but then he goes and gets the talent think of all the actors in the Addams Family, and then you move on to Men in Black with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
Even Get Shorty, that fucking cast is stacked. That Get Shorty is John Travolta coming off of Pulp Fiction. What? That is insane.
He's gotten some really bad scripts in
the
last 8 years. Well, he was basically forced into the Beverly Hills Cop TV show.
Yeah, no, this only made it to pilot, so he only did that first episode or whatever.
Because I know he did a bunch of them. He did the Tick TV series. I I think he did both TV series.
I would believe that. They very much fall in his wheelhouse, but
I could be wrong on that. He might have just done one, but he
recent movies.
I don't understand what I mean. Was Men in Black 3 made money? Why was he pushed out of Hollywood films after that?
Well, Men in Black 3 made money, but they were really, like Sony, because they're idiots, were banking on that being gigantic again. It had been so long since the first one, people kind of forgot about and forgave the second one because everybody hated that one that came out. It was time for a third one, and Sony was banking on that being a gigantic hit. And it was like a moderate success.
Yeah, I love
it. Gigantic hit.
I love this. So the budget of $225 million, but it has a worldwide box office of $624 million. And that's not a hit.
That's not enough. Yeah,
that's not enough.
So basically, he's been relegated to movies like RV and Nine Lives. So
I honestly think where the true downhill slope started was Lady Killers, which he didn't direct, but he was on set. Those kind of movies. I think he directed RV.
He directed RV.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end for Sonnenfeld, really. Because, now he's doing shit like Nine
Lady
Lives.
Killers is hated by people.
Well, he just shot it, so...
Well, I know, but that movie is hated by some. I've heard people that don't even know shit about film. They're like, that film was ugly. And I was like, what? Well, I mean...
I never even saw it. I have no idea.
It's... there's actually a cult following with it now. I don't know. We should do that. We should cover that on... some type of thing, or at least we should both watch it and talk about it.
I think Lady Killers is a little later VHSs, but that one made it to VHS.
I think Lady Killers is worth a conversation. I'm not saying it's a good film. I'm just saying I don't hate it.
I've never seen it, so I'll talk about it.
Then again, I could watch it now and be like, "What the fuck?" So let's go on to a little bit more. Like I said, this is going to be long. This swept the Golden Raspberry Awards. This is like just spectacular bad in their eyes. Which,
here's the thing.
99 had some bad films.
But you gotta look at how this movie was shoved down our throats for months and months and months and months and months, for a year, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They said, here's the next Will Smith movie, here's trailers for it, here's promotions, tie-ins. And this movie was shoved down our throats. By the time it came out and how massively disappointing it was for fans, because it wasn't Men in Black, it was far weirder and far more... disjointed. People then got mad at it. So I don't think it was that it was the worst movie of the year. I think it was that it pissed people off the most. Like, it should have been better type thing. And I think that's why it got so many...
Well, it really pissed off fans of the original series because so much has changed. And you know what? I never heard, and a lot of things I read about this going into this film, it's not, I never heard like, oh, how could they make Jim West a black man? No. They were pissed off at what they did to Loveliss, turning him from a dwarf into a man without legs. Just pissed. Like, just cursing the director, just like maybe that's not the director's fault. Maybe that's, whoever did the script. Or maybe they're like, hey, we can get Kenneth Branagh. Fuck it. Just make him legless.
Yeah, like, what are we going to do? Shrink down Kenneth Branagh because we got him? Like, that's fucked up. So,
yeah, I mean, there's, I guess, a lot of new plot points that they stuck in. But the development in this is also just as fascinating. I already explained how Warner Brothers was doing financially struggling. So they needed this film to succeed. They actually say that in the Death of Superman Lives documentary. And it was kind of interesting because at first they wanted Richard Donner to direct this. And they wanted it to be written by Shane Black and starring Mel Gibson. And Mel Gibson...
So they wanted Maverick?
Spot on. So Mel Gibson really wanted to do a Western film. Well, he ended up not doing this because they couldn't get... Well, Richard Donner, something happened. Donner, whatever. But they both got back together and went on to make Maverick.
Yeah. So, Shane Black obviously wasn't involved in that. But, it was Mel Gibson's movie during the height of Lethal Weapon dumb. Well, so still, it's Richard Donner coming off of a Shane Black movie with Mel Gibson. Maverick.
Wasn't Maverick way before this?
Yeah, Maverick was 94, so this is 99, so this is 5 years earlier.
Yeah, and Maverick was a success.
Maverick was a hit, yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun movie.
I
would do that, yeah.
My VHS, though, they crapped out halfway through. I had to get rid of it. It just, stopped working halfway through the movie.
Find that.
Oh, yeah, that's a 25 center that everywhere you go, but...
So, I mean, after, this thing had been in development, I guess, since, 1992 or something.
That. That's when all these properties got snatched up adapted.
That's when, Tom Cruise was rumored to be the lead, but then, he very much said, no. They asked me, and then I got the opportunity to do Mission Impossible, and I'm doing Mission Impossible. Good choice.
Yeah, that's still working for you, Tom.
Yes, because I'm going to talk about a bad choice. Because when Will Smith finally got the choice of this, he turned down this little computer movie called The Matrix.
Oh, yes. I remember he famously turned this down.
Yeah.
And this reminded me, too, and I know you're going to go into Will Smith's story here for a sec, but, sidebar, I was like, oh, yeah, Will Smith is such a natural in, a Western. Remember when he turned down Django also?
Yeah.
He could have redeemed this and done Django, but he turned it down.
Why did he turn down Django?
Too rough for him. I think he still wanted to stay within sort of his... softer parameters. I mean, I know he's done some R-rated movies, but Tarantino's a little bit much for Will Smith.
It's not like Tarantino lost anything. You got Jamie Foxx, and he's spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, that fucking movie's amazing. So it worked out for everybody, but he turned down two things that could have really done some shit for him.
Yeah, I mean, and the amount of people who turned down the Artemis Gordon character is amazing. George Clooney, Matthew McConaughey, and Johnny Depp.
Except nowadays, this is exactly the part that Johnny Depp would play.
Well, what was
Lone Ranger?
Disney? Lone Ranger.
Same thing. Exactly. It's exactly the same movie. There's so many parallels between Lone Ranger and this movie.
Wild Wild West is a fun trash movie. I watched Lone Ranger one time.
Lone Ranger's got some pretty spectacular trash in it. It's just way too long. But if you whittle through the long runtime, there's some pretty good trash nuggets in there. Not as good as Wild Wild West, though.
Well, okay, Michael Keaton wasn't rumored to play or anything like that, but he was part of the Warner Brothers starmen to go to.
Yeah,
he was pissed off he never got a call for this.
Well,
and he was open. He was open about it beforehand because he wanted to play Artemis Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
He got Jack Frost instead. Either way, you're fucked.
Yeah, no, didn't work out for anybody after this. So.
Whatever, that's pretty much all I got in this. I know there was a lawsuit from the person who created the television series, something like that, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The reception on this is spectacularly bad. 17% on Rotten Tomatoes, 4.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and the one that really matters is Metacritic, and they got 38 out of 100. I'm more of a Metacritic guy, so that pretty much tells you what the audience truly feels about it with some of the critics.
People did not like this movie. As we're wrapping this up here, I will say, give it another shot. If you hated this movie when it came out, give it another shot. I'm not saying you're going to like it now, but you are going to be absolutely befuddled of how much they got away with, and I don't mean with dialogue. I mean with effects. And how huge this movie is and how much just weird shit there is in this. I think it's worth revisiting just to see all of the bizarreness in here. And you won't be, I guarantee now, 20 years after it's out, you will not be able to look away.
So that is going to wrap up this long one. Like I said, it's like a Mario Brothers episode. It's just we had so much to say on it. And there's so much. And there's more.
Yeah.
We could cover more, but we're going to wrap it up. So you can listen and rate us on iTunes. It helps a lot. If you don't want to be an iTuner, you can go to Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, even YouTube.
Yes, and then definitely make sure to come back next week as we continue our theme songs in September. as we're going to do Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, where my boy Bryan Adams does the fucking theme song.
The greatest Canadian rock star of all time!
Bringing that back from our Grease 2 conversation. But yeah, very excited to take a look at that film for the first time for me.
Thanks for listening. Come back next week and remember to be kind.
Rewind!
Hey, Toxic here.
And Meridon, too.
We're the hosts of the Overleague podcast.
Are you a fan of Overwatch League, or just a fan of Overwatch in general?
Well, if you are, we break down matches and all other Overwatch happenings, and we won't judge your main.
Tune in every other Tuesday to the Overleague on Geekscape and wherever you get your podcasts.